I moved into this apartment to rebuild after the divorce. I needed something cheap and quiet close to the hospital. Where I work nights, I'm a respiratory therapist. I monitor people as they fight to breathe and sometimes lose that fight. They gave me Unit 12 building, 4 one-bedroom laminate floors, creaky bathroom door that doesn't quite close. Flush, it never really bothered me. At first, the first night felt normal. I got home late, showered, made some tea, filled out patient charts, and fell asleep by 1. And I remember waking up at 2:07 with no sound, just the sharp, unmistakable feeling that I was being watched. The apartment was dark, except for the bathroom light. I always leave it on dim in case I need to get up in the night. I stood there staring at the door, half awake, half frozen. Then I saw a hand, a single pale hand sliding under the door from the outside, long fingers stretching inward, not fast, not aggressive, just careful and slow, as if reaching for something. I blinked, and it was gone. I thought I imagined it. Maybe I was dreaming. I checked under the door with my flashlight, but the hallway was empty. The next day at work, I kept thinking about it, brushing it off as stress. I hadn't had a proper night's sleep since I moved in. And the hospital night shifts weren't helping the second night. I avoided looking at the bathroom door. I kept the hallway dark and stayed in bed. But around 2 a.m., I heard something faint, a light dragging sound. When I looked, the same hand was there again, pressing lightly under the door, palm down this time. I saw it longer, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. The fingertips brushed the tile floor and then withdrew. I didn't move. I just watched it. Didn't seem to want to hurt me. It was just there. The following morning, I found 2 small smudges on the inside edge of the door, just above the floor, like something had pressed oily skin against the wood. They weren't my fingerprints. I took a picture before cleaning at night 3. I stayed up with my phone camera propped on a book aimed directly at the gap beneath the door. I hit record and waited. At 1:58, the camera picked up movement, but not clearly. The light flickered slightly. The audio picked up strange, soft scraping like a nail across porcelain, but no visible hand. I didn't sleep that day. I found a strand of black hair stuck in the door seal. I have light brown hair, and I live alone. I put the hair in a plastic bag and shoved it in my bedside drawer. I don't know why. I just needed to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining this night. For the door moved slightly on its own. I saw it happen from the couch, a slow, steady push inward, followed by the same soft scratching from inside. I called maintenance and told them the latch might be broken or the door swollen from humidity. I didn't say anything about the hand. They came the next morning and said the door was perfectly fine. The 5th night was different. The hand didn't appear, but the mirror in the hallway did something that sent a jolt through me. I walked past and saw my own reflection lagging behind me by half a second. The motion was wrong, like I'd walked past, but my reflection had stayed too long. I turned quickly and stared, but there was only me in the mirror. I started documenting everything: time, sounds, markings, hair movements, reflections. I was losing track of sleep and time. I'd started checking my pulse compulsively. Every hour at work, I began asking nurses about sleep. Hallucinations, none of what they described matched what I was seeing on night 6. I woke up to find 3 thin red marks down my left calf, small but visible. They looked like scratches or fingernail trails, but I hadn't felt them in my sleep. I started keeping the bathroom door completely shut, but it didn't matter. The feeling of being watched persisted, and now I could hear it from inside the bathroom. Faint breathing, shallow and patient. I recorded again the next night, and at 2:12 a.m. the audio picked up a soft tapping from the other side of the door 3 times, then silence, then 3 more. I didn't open the door. I didn't sleep. There's something in that bathroom, or maybe behind it. It doesn't want to hurt me, not yet at least, but it knows I'm here, and it wants me to know that it is 2 tonight. I'm locking the door and leaving the light on. I'll record everything again, But if I see that hand slide through a third time, I don't think I'll be able to pretend anymore. This is no dream. It's waiting. I didn't sleep much after that night. My mind kept replaying that slow sliding hand under the bathroom door. It wasn't frantic or aggressive. It was steady, deliberate, like it already knew it would be back. I stopped using the bathroom. At night, altogether, I started brushing my teeth in the kitchen sink and only showering during the day. I taped the bathroom door shut from the outside top to bottom with thick black duct tape, not to keep something from getting out, but to keep myself from opening it the night after. I taped it shut. I dreamed I was in the bathroom again, except it wasn't my bathroom. It was darker, older, and colder, and I wasn't standing, was sitting curled up against the far wall, and across from me, in the dim blue glow of the overhead light, there was a door, just like mine, and under it I could see hands reaching through. But they weren't sliding this time. They were grasping, pulling the edge of the door upward like they wanted it open. I woke up, sweating with the taste of metal in my mouth. That day I peeled off the tape and opened the bathroom door. Nothing inside. Everything still where I left it, towels, soap, razor, toothbrush, all untouched. But the mirror was different. It had a smear across it, a wide horizontal streak that looked like something had pressed against it from inside the glass itself, like the mark you leave when you breathe too close to cold glass. Except this one had 5 long, trailing finger marks through the condensation. I hadn't used the mirror in days that night. I kept the lights on. I stayed in the kitchen reading, trying to stay awake at 9 a.m. I heard the door creak. Not the bathroom door, the hallway closet, the one directly across from the bathroom. I turned slowly and saw it open half an inch, no draft, no wind. I was alone. I stepped forward to shut it, but before I could reach it, something moved just slightly from the corner of my eye. A reflection in the bathroom mirror. The mirror faced the closet door directly, and in it I saw a shape crouched low, just behind the edge of the open closet door, not tall enough to be a person, small, but elongated like someone crawling. But when I turned to look directly into the closet, it was empty. The mirror still held a trace of that shape for a moment longer before it faded. I slept with the lights on again. In the morning, I found a new hair in the sink, a short, brittle one, coarse and black, curled unnaturally at the end, as though it had been burned. I didn't open the mirror cabinet. I didn't even want to look at it the next night. The bathroom door was closed tight again. But I heard movement behind it. I pressed my ear to the wood and held my breath, and I swear I heard faint whispering like someone muttering to themselves, pacing slowly back and forth on tile. I whispered hello softly, and the pacing stopped. Then one tap against the other side of the door, then a second tap, then nothing. I didn't sleep. I just waited for morning. I brought in a friend, Mark, someone for work, someone who deals with night shifts and strange stories. I didn't tell him everything, just enough to get him over. He walked the apartment with me, asked me questions, looked at the door and the tape marks, looked at the mirror, but said nothing was obviously wrong. He left with a joke about me drinking too much coffee that night around 3:17 a.m. I heard a soft rhythmic tapping again, this time from under the door, not on it, but against the floor. Gentle, quiet, slow taps in sequences of 3, then 2, then 5, always pausing between cycles. It reminded me of a code, a pattern, like someone trying to speak through sound. I recorded it this time, and when I played it back in the morning, there was no sound. But when I watched the video frame by frame, there were moments where the light under the door would dim just slightly, just for a second, as if something passed between the door and the hallway light, casting a shadow, something blocking the light from inside the bathroom. Except the lights in the bathroom were off. I started counting the scratches on the bottom of the door, 3 long gouges across the center lower panel, evenly spaced, As if from fingers dragging slowly, the mirror had more streaks, too, always horizontal, always just about 5 feet up, where face might be, except there was never any fog in the bathroom, no hot water, no steam. There was nothing to cause condensation, but every morning the streaks were there. I started showering at the hospital at night. I slept on the couch with the door to the hallway blocked by a chair, and my heaviest box, it didn't help one night. I woke up to the sound of nails on tile, a slow dragging scrape across the floor like someone circling the room. On all fours it came. From behind the bathroom door, I sat frozen. Listening, the noise circled once, twice, then stopped directly in front of the door. The handle didn't move, the light under the door didn't flicker, but something slid under a hand again, this time fully extended fingers, splayed palm up, and still it didn't move. It just lay there for almost a full minute, as if offering itself, or waiting for me to take it. When I stood slowly, the hand retreated into the dark that was last night. I haven't entered the bathroom since the streaks are still appearing on the mirror. The hair in the sink is multiplying, and now I've started hearing whispers even when I'm not near the bathroom. Short phrases spoken in a voice like mine, but not mine. Sometimes I hear them in the hallway, in the closet behind me, while I'm brushing my teeth in the kitchen, but always around 2 a.m. The tapping begins. Whatever it is, it's learning, and it's getting closer. I haven't entered the bathroom in over 4 days now. I've sealed the door again, this time not just with tape, but with a line of heavy towels wedged into the crack at the bottom. I even stacked furniture against it, a laundry hamper, a chair, and 2 boxes filled with old textbooks. It doesn't matter. Last night something slid beneath all of it, a hand again, or at least part of one finger's long, thin, curled upward, like it was trying to grip the air. It pressed up against the towel from underneath, and I saw the fabric rise just slightly, the shape forming through the cloth before it retreated. It didn't push or scratch this time. It just touched and left, and I couldn't stop shaking. This thing knows I'm afraid. I called out to it in a whisper at 1:52. I'm after the touch. I said, "Who are you?" And the silence that followed was so heavy, I felt like the air itself collapsed around me. Then came the knock, 3 sharp raps from inside the bathroom door. And then nothing. In the morning, I opened the door, just a crack, just to prove to myself it was empty. And as the door swung open, I swear the room was colder than it should have been, and the mirror was covered in condensation. But the floor was dry. There hadn't been any heat or water inside for days. On the mirror, written with a finger, was one word, "Come." I closed the door and left the apartment for the entire day. I didn't return until after sundown, and only because I didn't know where else to go. I called a friend, a woman named Emily, someone who has dabbled in spiritual cleansing and energy, where she agreed to come over the following night. She arrived around 11:30 with a satchel of crystal sage and a small handheld recorder. We sat in the living room with the lights dimmed while she tried to reach out to whatever presence might be in the apartment. She lit the sage and walked slowly toward the bathroom door, whispering something in another language I didn't recognize. And that's when the lights went out, all of them, the entire apartment. Emily gasped and dropped the sage. The hallway glowed faintly, with the only light coming from her recorders. Red indicator, and the bathroom door creaked. It opened on its own, not wide, just an inch, just enough for the dark to leak into the hallway, and for the smell to drift out. It smelled like wet soil and rust, like a place far beneath the ground. I didn't want to look, but I did, and I swear I saw someone standing in the mirror, but not inside the bathroom. The reflection was wrong. It showed the hallway behind me, not the bathroom itself. And in that reflection was a figure crouched and watching his head, tilted eyes, reflecting light like an animal's. Emily gasped again and shouted something sharp and loud. The door slammed shut, and the lights came back on. She refused to touch the door again and left. Within minutes, she told me to leave the apartment and not return. But I couldn't. I don't know why. I think it's because I feel like if I run, it'll follow. So I stayed, and now I'm seeing things outside the bathroom, things in the corners of rooms, things that don't move when the light hits them. I see shadows where there should be none, and reflections in the glass of the microwave or the window that look just slightly off my face in the mirror smiles. Even when I don't, sometimes it moves a second. Too late. And the worst part is the tapping. It's not only from the bathroom anymore. It started at the windows, the closet, the ceiling, sometimes even under the bed, always soft, always steady, and always in rhythm with my heartbeat. Last night, I tried recording audio. Again, I left my phone on the table with a voice app running from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. When I played it back, I heard my own voice whispering things I don't remember, saying phrases like "let me in" and "don't leave me here." And I remember now, but the tone was wrong, too calm, too controlled. And there were other sounds layered beneath my voice, wet, sliding noises, nails on tile, and something like breathing, but not through a mouth, more like through hollow pipes. I tried to sleep, but the tapping wouldn't stop it. Came every few minutes, always faint, just enough to keep me from resting fully. And then just before dawn, something knocked 3 times on my bedroom door. I didn't move, I didn't breathe. And after the last knock, there was a long dragging sound like something with limbs far too long pulling itself away. I've stopped turning on the bathroom light. Entirely, it stays closed now, always. And yet the presence doesn't seem confined anymore, whatever lived behind that door. It's found the cracks it's spilling through, and I'm starting to feel like I'm the one who doesn't belong anymore. I don't know how long I've been awake. The clocks are wrong. My phone resets itself. Randomly, the digital wall clock in the kitchen flashes at odd intervals, like it's trying to blink something in Morse code. I don't remember the last time I truly slept, not even for a minute. It doesn't let me. Every time I close my eyes, I feel the presence, not just near the bathroom anymore, but throughout the apartment, behind the refrigerator, inside the hallway closet, beneath the couch, always close, always listening. The mirror no longer reflects what it should. I tested it. I walked back and forth across the hallway and filmed myself. The reflection lags behind me, not by much, but enough to make my stomach drop every time. And once my reflection didn't move at all, it stayed still while I passed, then turned its head toward me as I walked away. I've stopped looking at mirrors altogether. The bathroom door remains closed, but it doesn't matter because I can hear it breathing, a deep rhythmic sound like a bellows, like lungs the size of the room, and sometimes it talks. At first, it was a whisper, words I couldn't make out, but now it says my name. It says it's softly, like a parent calling a child to bed, like a lover asking to be let in, and I find myself drawn to it, standing in front of the door without remembering how I got there, hand on the knob, fingers trembling. I haven't opened it again. Not since the night Emily came, but I think I will soon. Last night something changed. I woke up on the bathroom floor, fully clothed, shoes still on, phone in my pocket. I don't know how I got there. The door was still closed behind me, but the mirror was fogged completely, and written across in bold dripping letters was the phrase, "You're inside now." I backed against the wall and stayed there until sunrise, afraid to move, afraid that if I left, the mirror would show something else, or something would come out of it. When I finally opened the door and stepped out into the hallway, I noticed that everything in the apartment was reverse pictures, flipped outlets on the wrong side of the wall, door hinges mirrored. Even the writing on my calendar was backward, like I'd stepped into a reflection. Only lasted for a few minutes. Then everything shifted back while I wasn't looking. The lights flickered and the apartment snapped into place like nothing had happened. But I know it did. I left my phone on the bathroom counter that morning to record again. When I retrieved it, the battery was drained and the case was cracked down the back like something had tried to peel it apart. No data saved. just one new file of video, only a few seconds. Long, just static, and then a single frame of the bathroom floor with what looked like a pale arm stretched across it, motionless. I don't know whose it was. It didn't look human, too long, too thin, with joints bent the wrong way and fingers that twitched in reverse motion. I've stopped telling people about this. No one believes me anyway. I tried calling my sister yesterday, and as soon as I said the word bathroom, the call dropped and wouldn't reconnect for hours. She says the line was clear on her end. She heard silence, and then a long exhale like someone breathing directly into the speaker. She told me to get help, but help won't come in here. Whatever lives behind that door is no longer content with just being seen or heard. It's begun pulling things out. The other day, my bathroom towel vanished completely, and when I opened the cabinet where I keep extra supplies, every single item had been unwrapped and soaked in water I haven't run water in. There for over a week, and the cabinet door was wet too. The touch that night, I watched the bathroom door move for over 20 minutes, slowly inching open, then stopping, then inching again, never fully open, never fully closed, just teasing. At one point, I swear I saw a footstep in a view on the tile, not a normal foot, not human. It was flat and gray and looked like it had been burned or boiled long, and skeletal toes dragging across the floor. I backed away, and the door slammed shut instantly, loud enough to make the wall shake. The mirror shattered. That was the first time it had broken. Cracks stretched from the center outward in a spiderweb pattern, and from the largest crack something red seeped out, not blood, but something thicker, darker, like sap. It dripped slowly down the glass, spelling something I couldn't understand. Not letters, just shapes, circles, crosses, lines overlapping. I took a picture, but when I looked at it later, it was just my face over and over. No cracks, no writing, just dozens of versions of me staring back, each one with a slightly different expression, some smiling, some weeping, some furious. None of them looked like me anymore. I smashed the mirror completely, but the wall behind it was wet, as if the mirror had been pressed against flesh. I covered it with a towel and duct tape again, and now it's quiet, too quiet, which scares me more than the tapping or the whispers, because it means it's waiting. It means the thing behind the door is finished knocking it once in, and I think the next time I close my eyes, it's going to come through, not under the door, not through the mirror, but through me. I didn't plan to leave the apartment, but yesterday around noon, I felt that a change, not in the air, not in the light, but in the walls themselves, a pressure building behind them, like water behind glass, ready to break through. I packed a small bag and walked out. Without looking back, I stayed at a motel across town. Nothing fancy, just somewhere without a bathroom mirror that I had to look into, or a hallway door with a gap beneath it. I slept deeply for the first time in days, and I didn't dream. But when I woke up, there was a message written in the condensation on the motel window. 7 words you can run. But it knows you. My heart stopped for a full beat. I wiped the window and backed away from it. I checked out immediately and returned home, not because I wanted to, but because whatever this is has already made a home inside me. Avoidance doesn't work. When I walked into the apartment, everything felt colder. The light bulbs flickered, and one popped above the kitchen sink. The bathroom door was still shut, but something had changed. There were handprints on the outside. Now, not just smudges or streaks, but full handprints, 5 long fingers. Each palm pressed against the wood, spaced out like someone had been crawling up the door, trying to climb it. They were darker than before, too, not gray or oily, but dark red. I put my ear to the door and heard nothing, not a breath, not a whisper, only a low hum like the kind you hear in your bones, not your ears. That night, I sat in front of the door with a recorder again, hoping to capture something that might make sense. I asked it questions. Who are you? What are you? Want? Why me? For several minutes. There was silence, and then I heard the softest sound, a wet, sliding noise like skin against porcelain, and then something else, a voice not mine, low, broken, and shaking you open it. I didn't remember opening anything, but the more I thought, the less sure I became. Had I opened the door in my sleep? Had I stood in front of the mirror and whispered something back to it? Had I already invited it? And I listened to the rest of the recording, and at 2:11 a.m., I heard again, not a voice this time, but a sound, like something being dragged. The file ended abruptly with a sharp bang. When I checked my phone, the recording had been deleted. Only a new file remained untitled. I played it and heard breathing not mine and a faint voice whispering my name over and over, slower each time until the syllables lost their shape and became something else entirely. I felt dizzy and dropped the phone. When I picked it up, the screen had frozen and a message glitched across the display in white text: "Look behind you." I turned nothing, but the bathroom door was open only slightly, maybe an inch, but I hadn't touched it. I approached slowly, flashlight in hand, heart pounding, every step screaming at me to stop. When I reached the door, I pushed it open with my foot. The bathroom was dark, even though the light was on. The bulb glowed, but didn't illuminate anything. Like the darkness inside was thicker than light could penetrate. I stepped in just 1 foot. The air inside was heavy and wet and cold, like standing in a freezer filled with fog. The mirror was gone, or rather the surface of it had melted or turned into some kind of opaque film, a shifting silver skin like liquid metal that never fully settled, and something moved behind it, a shape almost human, but not quite too thin too. Long the limbs, slightly wrong, the movements jerky like frames missing from a film. I backed out slowly. The door slammed shut behind me. So fast the air pushed my hair back, I didn't open it again. But I heard something pressed against the other side, breathing. It stayed like that for hours until dawn, then silence again. That morning, I found scratches on my shoulder, 3 small lines like fingernail marks, freshly red and stinging, even though I hadn't touched anything or anyone. And on the wall beside my bed, written in the same red substance as the handprints on a bathroom door, was another message: "Next time you won't wake up." I scrubbed it clean, but the words reappeared hours later in the same spot. I stopped cleaning. Then I started keeping track every night. More messages every night, more marks every night. The hand under the door gets bolder, reaching farther, crawling faster. Last night, it didn't retreat. When I saw it, it stayed there, fingers tapping once for each of my heartbeats. I counted 64 taps before I passed out from exhaustion. When I woke, the hand was gone, but the floor was wet, cold, and sticky, and something had been left behind, a tooth, small, cracked brown. At the root, an unmistakably human eye. Don't know what it means. I don't know whose it was, but I know it came from the other side. And now I understand something horrible. It's not trying to get out. It already has. It's just waiting for me to come in. And I think I'm starting to want to. It began with a dream or something close to it. I was back in the apartment, standing in the hallway. Only this time the walls were breathing in and out, as if the entire place was alive and pulsing. The bathroom door stood wide open, and behind it was not my bathroom. It was darkness stretching in a black. Nothing, no floor, no ceiling, just an endless corridor of shadow. But the mirror floated in the air, surrounded by faint dripping sounds, and through its surface I saw myself, not a reflection, not a mirror image. It was me staring back, mouth moving slowly, eyes unblinking, face pale like it had been drained of everything that made it mine. And then the other me reached through the glass. I woke up standing in front of the real mirror, fully dressed, breathing heavy. The bathroom door slightly ajar again. I never opened it, but it opens anyway now. Whenever once I tried filming everything, setting up a camera pointed directly at the door, recording for hours overnight. But in every playback, the Footage glitches from 2:03 to 2:17 a.m. Sharp, the screen cuts to static, and when it returns, the camera angle is changed always closer to the door each time, as if something is moving the camera when I'm not looking one night I played. The footage frame by frame, and in the last frame before the static begins, there's a person standing in the hallway me, but I was in bed asleep, I know, because the timestamp matches the hour I woke up gasping from that same wet skin dream. The longer I stay in the apartment, the less real everything becomes. My phone no longer works properly, the date, and time reset to 1901. Every time I charge it, the oven clock runs backward. And then apartment lights dim when I speak too loudly, as if responding to my voice. I stop writing things down. I stop marking the calendar. Time isn't real in here anymore. Or maybe I'm not real anymore. I left the apartment yesterday. Or I thought I did. Walked outside, down the steps, felt the wind on my face, and looked up. The sky was flat white like paper, like the ceiling of a warehouse. And when I walked to the street, the sidewalk looped back to the front of my apartment building. No matter which direction I walked, I always ended up back at my front door. The neighbors are gone, the other units silent, dark, even during the day. I tried knocking on every door in the building, no answer, not even movement. But when I returned to my apartment, my bedroom light was on, and the mirror had been clean, spotless. Someone had been inside that night. I barricaded the bathroom again, shoved the dresser across the hallway, stacked chairs, and pushed the refrigerator against the door frame. I sat in the corner with a flashlight and a knife and waited at 2:09. It started knocking not on the bathroom door, but inside my head, like a pressure pulsing with each beat of my heart. Then came the whispers. They didn't echo in the room. They came from behind my eyes, calling me, softly welcoming me home. I closed my eyes and cover my ears, but I still heard it come back, come back, come back. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. I was in the bathroom, the door closed behind me, the lights off, and the mirror had changed. It wasn't a mirror anymore. It was a window, and on the other side were dozens of figures standing motionless, skin pale and stretched limbs, two long heads tilted. Each one had my face. Each one was mouthing the same word over and over. Without sound stay, I tried to open the door. It wouldn't budge. I screamed. I kicked it. I punched the walls, but there was no noise, not even from my own mouth. I looked back at the mirror, and the figures were gone, replaced by just one. It was me, but older eyes, sunken skin, paper thin. It pressed its hand to the inside of the glass and smiled. Then the mirror cracked from the center out, not shattering, but splintering like something was breaking through, and I understood the hand under the bathroom door, the whispers, the tapping. They weren't trying to get into this world. They were trying to pull me into theirs. And I was already halfway there. I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat, with mud on my feet and red fingerprints around my ankles. I checked the bathroom. Still locked, still dark, but I know now. It's not about the door, it's about crossing over. Every knock, every whisper was an invitation, and I've accepted it, not because I wanted to, but because part of me already has. Tonight is different. The air is still, the clock hasn't moved in hours, and the bathroom door is wide open. The mirror is gone completely, and something is waiting inside. It doesn't need to pull me anymore. I'm going willingly. I walk toward it, as if drawn. The air gets colder. The light flickers, then fades, and I see it clearly now. Hands reaching out, not to hurt me, to welcome me. Familiar hands, my hands, they pull me through gently. And as I pass through the surface, I feel something close behind me, like the door sealing forever. And I know no one ever leaves. They just disappear like a shadow that finally finds its body, like a breath held too long, like a hand sliding under the bathroom door. They'll tell you I went missing. They'll search the apartment and find nothing. They won't find the mirror. They won't find me. But late at night, when they stand in the hallway, if they listen very closely, they'll hear the taps in sync with their heartbeats, getting closer one beat at a time.